Welcome back, everybody. I'm so sorry this was long overdue, but here's a look at the first ensemble I pieced together out of the individual auto DVC patches in LASS, LA Scoring Strings version 3. As usual, let me start with making some sounds. Okay, so that's quite a beautiful, polyphonic patch already. And this is actually pieced together out of 5 different patches, as you can see. Up here, basses A and B, I took together, layered them on top of each other. Everything is running on MIDI channel 1. We have violins 2A, violins C, which are actually non-Sordino, but I EQ'd them similar to a Sordino sound because that way I can control their vibrato. So just in order to have a bread and butter patch where I can work chordally across the board, which sounds wonderful, that's my first instinct. A couple of the interesting features that happen when you have auto DVC and legato patches that also work in polyphony. I wanted to just show you real quick what's happening on the screen. You can see this is in record mode now. Down here in the first row of expression we have breath controller, which when I slide the fader up and down, you can see it up here. I've got this on my little nano controller. I don't have this on breath control. I have this just on a slider. And then below, this is my pedal, volume pedal. And I should also turn on sustain so you can see what I'm doing with the sustain pedal. So now let me give you an example. Look at what the sustain pedal does. I'm holding it all the way down through this chord sequence. Look. Now that's kind of interesting. You would expect the chords to wash into each other, but they don't. That is because of the auto DVC and polyphonic legato feature, and that is quite something. Look, if I play it a little slower with lower velocities, you get more of a glissando effect. So this was not possible with LASS2 as much as I, love the general sound, especially of the Sordino, the magnificent Sordino patch. It just sounds like just memories of orchestrations by Klaus Ogerman immediately come to mind when I hear that. And you see this in the other video that I will link somewhere up there. That is a long video that goes incredibly in depth of LASS2. But this is a new game in town, as in what you can do with having this engaged, this legato feature engaged, is the following. Let me play you a little fast line in the right hand. So if legato is engaged, I can actually create these very fast lines that is not possible with anything I had going on in LASS2 because the patches are simply just polyphonic patches, but these have legato functions in them that enable you to do these fast runs. And from one moment to the next, without changing patches or modes, So that's impressive. That is impressive because it does sound cohesive as a polyphonic patch. You could probably do some more EQing. I would probably lend a little bit more, just add a little bit more analog warmth in the bass department. But the legato functionality is just astounding because it enables you to do things connective. I call it the connective tissue between chords with a legato feature. The dynamic potential is really huge. There's one little caveat I discovered, and that is probably the nature of Sordino, but they do not have included non-vibrato samples in Sordino. Now I figured, violinists are able to play vibrato with Sordino or not. That should be available, but it's not. And the reason why I know that is I found it out this way and opened the user interface. Here it is. This is the large user interface, which has a lot going on and a lot of options available. Here you see, if I switch to Sordino, you see the vibrato control, right? So it activates legato because that's on, and now I'm going to turn the vibrato control to 0. So there's no effect. However, if I put it to arco mode, watch what happens now. In arco mode, it works. So I thought, oh my goodness, vibrato, non-vibrato is such an important expressive tool. Why don't we have this available in Sordino? So for some reason, I don't know how to activate this. If there's any way to activate this, if you guys know how to do this, or anybody over at Audiobro, and I missed the point and missed the boat on this, please let me know. But for now, I'm assuming that I'm correct. The Sordino mode does not have non-vibrato. And that is, to me, is a loss. That would be absolutely wonderful if we could have non-vibrato with the softer, smoother sound of Sordino, because listen how much harder, the sound of the arco is. Switch to Sordino. See, they get a lot less barky, when it comes down to the lower mid-range. And there's something in the mid-range that we need to just be able to filter out. But anyways, just a couple more sounds. One of the things that I have available in LASS2 that I don't have here, and I find it absolutely imperative to playing polyphonically like a keyboard player would, because, I have control over, basically 10 fingers here, and if I strike one of them louder than the other one, I would like that sound to come through louder than the other ones. So now let's try this out and see what happens over here. I'm going to play big fat F minor 7 chord, okay? So I will then just going to try now to build this chord up and play everything soft, but the A flat a little louder. Maybe I'm deaf, but to me this all sounds the same. So in other words, there is no velocity response at all to how loud I strike the notes. And I'm sorry, I need that back. That normally you could go into edit mode and edit that back in, go into, hang on, the group editor, turn everything on, leave the group editor, then we would go into volume over here and make it respond to velocity. This is not possible here. I tried this out, believe me. I spent weeks on this program to get it to sound like this, and that's not one of the features that are possible. So that's a loss. I wish that was back. To me, string arrangements should always have certain balance shifts going on. They're not always supposed to be this soup of sameness in the same loudness on each voice. That doesn't make any sense. Frequently you see like dynamic markings that are in the arco basses, and then the viola speaks up a little louder, then cello speaks a little louder in a score. You see that different dynamic markings. Now with playing polyphonically, I cannot address this because everything only has one volume control, and that is the volume control that affects the entire orchestra. So there is a room for improvement. Be that as it may, it's still a gorgeous, gorgeous orchestra with the possibility of playing very, very stunning, wide, luscious chords and the ability to play fast lines incredibly well. The other thing that's really beautiful is that, as you can hear in that line, since it's legato and it's connected with the auto legato feature, you can see that without any slurs, these notes don't overlap like individually played notes that would normally overlap if this were a polyphonic patch. This follows a completely different set of rules. Listen again. That is huge. So there is drawbacks and there is beautiful advantages. And I'll take the advantages because obviously I would combine this with my last two patches, for the previous version, use certain pads from that. I think it would mix very well with what this sounds like. Again, in the typical Audiobro quality, the samples are very enveloping, very warm, and very emotional. So far, I am quite impressed, and it took me forever. I own this library over a year to finally get to program it a little bit because I had so many projects on the plate. You can, of course, explore all the other options here, which are, shorts, which are absolutely happening, just beautiful. Tremolos. There's a lot of loving programming that went into this library. So this is really a fantastic program, and it will take me years to explore the full potential of what this can do. That was just a first look at the basic bread and butter patch that will enable me to just put my hands on the keyboard and follow through a certain song that is presented to me by a client. I need immediate emotional feedback. That's why I create these big arrays of sounds, like this particular array of sounds over here. And that is it. I hope this video was helpful for you guys, especially if you bought LASS3 and want to like to learn more about it. Please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a like I said before. I have so much more coming your way in engineering, about virtual instruments of any kind, string orchestrations, and so forth. There's a lot more coming. You can also literally learn orchestration online, one-on-one Zoom with me. That's available. You can book this on the website, and the link is below in the description. But most of all, I hope you feel inspired to create. So go about that today. Have a great creative day. Stay healthy and stay at it. God bless. Peace.